here today to share about how you can take more risk. Might not be the way you would normally think of. So this is inspired by two podcasts I was listening to. One is called Finding Mastery with Dr. Michael Gervais. He's a sports psychologist, works with like NFL team and high performance sports people. And he was interviewing Jimmy Chin, who's the director of Free Solo. I'm not sure you've seen it. It's where Alex Honnold does free solo, so like climbing with no ropes or harnesses on El Capitan. It took like a few hours, but it's pretty much insane. You drop, you die. And they were talking about how Alex, who's like a super athlete, even in his peer group of people who climb hardcore, he's an outlier. And they talk about one of his technique of visualization. So this is kind of normal for athletes to do, and some people in like high performance field in other areas do it too. But for example, what he would do is he would kind of sit in his van for days imagining each of the move. So he doesn't do the move physically, he does it all in his mind. And the interesting I found was that he didn't only do the right moves in his mind, he also imagined what if he stepped wrong and how he would fix or get himself out of it. So he would, let's say one of the moves, he would just do like maybe 10 iterations of it to see, okay, if I did it wrong, how would I come back and fix it? He actually even imagined falling and how that would feel, and not to encourage falling, of course. And this is where Dr. Michael Gervais talked about how his rant about the manifesting field, where people are like, oh, you manifest something, then it's gonna happen, so don't think about bad things. He's like, no, that's wrong. And in this case, Alex was using it to imagine what it would feel like so that he won't be scared of it anymore. And side note, Alex's kind of fear system doesn't activate much, that's why he does all this crazy stuff. But it's always very cool that he doesn't only imagine how things can go right, but also how things can go wrong and how he would fix it. And let's say he did think it went terribly wrong, which is falling, how it would feel actually to kind of help him calm down, to say, okay, I've lived through it already and I was okay. The other piece was listening to another podcast. There's an economist on Farnham Street, I forgot his name, apologies. They were talking about kind of thinking in your mind and pushing the boundaries of your thought. And the quote that kind of that relates to this is, if you don't take risks inside your mind, where would you take risk? And this is about kind of pushing your idea forward. So for example, you're coming up with something new, and people tend to kind of prejudge or pre-evaluate the idea and not even sharing with somebody, just thinking for themselves. And he's like, if you in your own mind don't push yourself to the limit to see, take risks in your mind in the sense of thinking bigger and beyond and see and kind of push yourself there and then evaluate later. So you never even take risks in your mind, how will you even take risks in real life? So for me, I thought these two examples were really cool in the sense of, we talk about taking risk, and people think about it more like an action thing. But if it doesn't even happen in your mind in the first place, to think of the worst case scenario, think extreme, go big, go dream big or go crazy on it and push your brain to the limit of what something can be, how would that even translate to reality at all in the first place? So we can work on taking risks by pushing our mind first to be risky in our own mind before we can even start to try to do any behaviors that are getting us closer to those big things that we're thinking about or those risky things we're thinking about. So hopefully that's some kind of food for thought for you of how to push yourself to take more risk.